What is up, my friends? Welcome to another episode of the Manufacturing Transform podcast. Today, I had such a fun conversation. I was literally grinning ear to ear almost the entire hour. I know you're going to love it as well. I got to spend the time talking with Adam Verdon of GV Industries down in San Diego. They are just such a great shop. I can tell Adam is a great leader. He is the second generation owner after his dad started it. His grandfather was also a machinist. His son is 3, so not ready to be a machinist yet, but very possibly will be the 4th generation of this shop. Like I said, Adam's just a natural leader. I can just tell by the way he talks about his culture, about his people, about delegation, about the business, the numbers. It's just a natural. And his pride and passion for being a machinist and being a machine shop owner just comes through so loud and clear. It's just infectious. Hopefully it boosts the pride that you have in being a machinist or a machine shop owner if you happen to be one of those. And if you're not, here's an encouragement to go do that. It was just delightful. So without further ado, let's get in and talk with Adam. Good afternoon, Adam. Welcome to the show.
How are you, man? Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you here on the Manufacturing Transform podcast.
Boy.
So the reason we are here is that about exactly 13 days ago, you reached out to me and you said, "Hey, Paul, my company, GV Industries, onboarded with you guys over the last year or so. We're now fully up and running in ProShop. We love it, and we're already seeing efficiency and visibility improvements." And you go on and on. So thanks for reaching out, man. That's awesome. We love hearing when clients are just digging the system.
Yeah.
And so we'll get into those improvements and those things that are getting better in your business. But let's first learn a little bit about you and GV Industries.
Sure. Yeah. I'm Adam Verdon. GV Industries. I guess my dad started the company in 1978. He was a second generation machinist and he was a veteran. He got back from Vietnam and started his own thing, and just kind of slowly built it over the years and took over a little bit more of the building and a little bit more of the building until now we have the whole building. It's all ours.
Very cool.
Very cool. So I grew up in this shop. My earliest memories are, toddling through the shop in my giant safety glasses and shredding paper in the office for the secretaries. And, I spent summers here my whole life. It was my first job. So I like to say I have coolant in my veins. It's like,
yeah, I'm sure you probably do a little bit.
Right.
Actually.
I remember my dad has a story he tells in kindergarten. We were supposed to bring in a tool that measures, right? Most kids brought in a yardstick or a tape measure. And I came with a 0 to 1 inch micrometer. And I taught
nice.
kids
I love it.
How to use a mic. Yeah. It is all I know. It is my life.
Very cool. At what age did you start running machines?
Oh, probably 15, I would say. 14 or 15.
Okay.
But I was crawling in and out of them, cleaning them a lot earlier.
Sure.
Than that,
I believe it.
But machining is just so much fun, and I took to it. Obviously, it's in my blood, so I took to it very quickly, and went away to college for a few years, tried some other stuff, and nothing ever clicked quite as much. And so I found my way back here to San Diego and started back working in the shop and kind of worked through. It was always important to my dad that I understood in a robust way the shop. If I was ever going to, move in and take over, that he wanted me to know from the ground up. So I ran the shipping department for 2 years. I ran the quality assurance department for a year and a half. I was an inspector. I've been a machinist. I've swept floors. I've done everything you can do in this shop.
Yeah, it's a great foundation to really know it inside and out.
Right.
Every aspect of how it works.
Yeah, and to know the frustrations of every department.
That's probably just as important as anything.
Right.
Understanding, the challenges and frustrations of the people in each role and what they're dealing with every day. And you can empathize with them when they come to you and they're like, "Damn it, this isn't working."
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I think it's been my whole life I've been here. And then a couple years back, my dad decided it was time for him to kind of start retiring. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he'll actually ever retire. I think that this is just his baby, and
sure.
I think he'll still come here.
He'll come in and tinker.
Yeah.
Play around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he still loves it. And, honestly, I like sitting here with him. We share an office, and so I get to sit across from my dad and soak up the years and years and years of experience that he's got and hear all the cool stories. And,
Mm-hmm.
moving away for college, I feel like I missed this huge chunk of time as an adult where I could get to know my dad, and now back in town,
Oh,
and I get to be close with him. And, as I have my own kids, and I get to be right here and talk to him. And it's nice. It's been really, it's been good. Good for our family, good for me.
yeah, I can appreciate that. And I appreciate you sharing that. I know many people will relate. I just did a 4-day sort of trip with my oldest son. He's now working in this camper company that I became sort of co-owner in and advisor in, and he was going to his first sort of overland expo to check it out, and so I went with him, and it was really a fun time to
Oh, yeah.
be there, watch him talk to people, and be an adult,
Right.
and
Yeah.
yeah, that's precious time. So
Yeah.
that's cool that you're doing that with your family too.
Yeah, it's very cool. And we all see our dads in one way, and then seeing him in a business setting is like this whole other version of him that I get to
Yeah.
know, and it's very cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about what GV Industries specializes in.
Yeah, so we started as an aerospace company. We did aerospace tooling, was how my dad started all of this.
Yeah.
We've kind of moved away from aerospace a little bit just because we're down here by the shipyard. So we started doing some of that, and
Mm-hmm.
we started getting into semiconductor. And then the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years has been really heavy in that field, in the semiconductor world. Um, so this is sort of a strategic choice. We've started to move away from one just semiconductor. We're trying to get back into some other industries, but
Sure.
um, semiconductor. So it's super precise, um, complex geometry is kind of what we like. And tricky parts is sort of where we're happiest.
Nice. And small volumes, bigger.
Yeah, like low volume, high mix, I would say.
Okay. True job shop.
Yeah,
True job
exactly.
shop.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we're not doing 10,000 piece orders. It's
Yeah.
not usually. We
Yeah.
can. We don't. We don't
Sure.
usually though.
All right. So paint the picture of what your days were like, what the shop was like before you decided you needed some better software, better systems.
Sure. Yeah. It starts, like I said, I've worked every department in this whole place. And I think it started when I was in shipping, and I realized there's just no visibility. From this position, I don't know where anything is in the shop. I don't know anything that's coming up. I just have to deal with it as it hits my desk. And that was not my favorite thing. So I spent a lot of time building these spreadsheets and building these databases, and I was really heavy with FileMaker. We had these FileMaker databases for everything, and it was just so cumbersome. And then I moved into quality assurance, and we got ISO certified and AS9100, and all of that comes with so much documentation.
Yeah.
And I was just drowning in paperwork and drowning. Like I couldn't keep it all organized and all these things. And so I started feeling like we are too busy now to be doing this in so many systems. And at that point was kind of pushing, we need to find a better solution. We need to find something better, but we'd done it this way for so long, that
Sure. Yeah.
everybody was pretty resistant to it. And I was just a kid, I didn't know what I was talking about. So as I grew up a little more and learned more about the company, I started to realize, no, this is absolutely necessary. And in the last 5 years, and we got really busy during the pandemic. That was I mean, balls to the wall. We were busier than we've ever been, and all of the systems clashed at that point, right? Like we can't
Yeah.
keep up. We're double entering in 2, 3, 4 places. If we have a date change, I have to go hunt down the paperwork to physically change a date or pull it in, and it was just so much extra work. And so I started looking into different ERPs. And then in 2000, I want to say 2002 or 3, I went to the West Tech show, and actually
Mm,
to you. You did
okay.
and then I talked to you, and you told me whatever system you get, make sure that they care and they are taking care of their system, right? That they're constantly improving it. A lot of these
Yeah.
places will sell you a bill of sale, and then you'll get that, and nobody will ever listen to you again.
That's
And
true. We've heard
I
this.
found that was the case. I found that most of them out there were not changing. They were not developing any new portals or new, interfaces or anything. And so we narrowed it down pretty quickly. to ProShop. Just based on the interactions I was having, even with the sales teams and things like that. Like I was getting better responses from ProShop than anyone else.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, yeah, I bet for you there's a
I'll relay that to the team.
yeah,
They're
good.
proud of them. Yeah.
And so I started bringing in the different managers we had into the process, right? I wanted them to see their choices. I wanted to see them to
So
see,
important.
right.
Yeah.
And they're the ones day-to-day basis that are doing the work, right? Like at this point, I use it to check on them, but they're doing
Right.
the work. They're doing the
Yeah, of
updating, they're
course.
doing the training, and they're doing all of this. And it was very quick to get all of them on board, I'll tell you.
Nice.
It was not a struggle. I thought that we would fight. I thought that we don't want to learn something new. We don't want to bring computers into this mess, right? Like we're all very happy with our paper, but everybody saw the need right away. Everybody saw the benefit, what it could be, how good it could be here. And so we ended up we have interfaces on every machine in the shop. We have a terminal at every single machine. The guys
Cool.
log everything, and we've roped them all into it in a way that it makes everybody has ownership now in our system. The guys know why it matters that they track their time well. They know, why it matters that we're logging all this, what used to be tribal, these secrets to this part. You have to put a shim under this edge of the fixture every time, but that's not written down anywhere.
Yeah.
And so now we have this easy access to notes. We have easy access to our processes. I mean, it has streamlined everything. It has been so nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. I mean, you must have done a really good job of getting that buy-in and getting that alignment, because I can tell you it's not always the case in shops out there. Sometimes
Right.
there's infighting, sometimes there's people digging their heels in. So any tips on what you did to get that real buy-in?
I think that it was really convenient that things in the industry slowed down a lot. Right at the precipice of us, are we going to do the ERP or not? We felt this huge slowdown in the industry. And I was inclined to just, tuck your tail. You don't want to make a big investment right when we're slowing down. But instead of running from it, I just leaned into it. I said, we're slow right now. We have the capacity to do this. We have the time to do the training. We have the time to get the system filled in and to learn it. And so during this little slowdown, the guys weren't as swamped on the machines, so we could pull them away and do individual training. We did a lot of meetings with just, why are we doing this as a group? What are the things that you guys are hoping for in the system? In what ways are you hoping that this improves your day-to-day life?
Yeah.
And then acted on those things, right? I listened to the guys and I brought in a program for them that they are all on board with, because it's all the things that they wanted. It's all the things that they imagined that they could have in a system are there for them, and so it's not so hard to get buy-in when all the input from them is what they're getting back, right? I'm giving them the things they asked for. And so,
well, that's a powerful lesson in listening,
right,
and taking their comments seriously, and then delivering on them.
I think part of that was that I spent so long on that side of the shop. I spent so long working and being dirty and getting in and out of the machines and knowing what it takes on a day-to-day basis to be a machinist in this shop. And I struggled with it. I struggled with the backwards ways we were doing things from the machinist side. And I just wanted, I wanted to make sure that they felt they had the voice that I didn't know if they had before. Like I was a machinist, and I'm the son of the owner. And well, if I feel that way, if I feel disconnected from the process, I can't imagine how disconnected they were feeling, And so it was really important to me that this place is a place where machinists want to work, right? Our quality goes up if the quality of our employees goes up, right? If the guys are better trained, they produce better parts. And it's like this sort of a holistic feeling of, I want to improve their experience working just as much as I want to improve our bottom line, right? Just as much as I want to improve the quality that we're putting out, because I feel like it's so tied together, right? An unhappy guy makes not good parts every time, right? So
well, that's a fantastically holistic way to look at it, right? And I think you're right.
I spent so long working with them. I'm friends with a lot of the guys that work for me, and so maybe not friends, but friendly with a lot of the guys that I work with.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so I have their best interest at heart, and I think they know that, so feeling like they're not just a cog, that they're, critical to what we do here.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real lesson, I think, for hopefully people listening. This is a great way to approach change. I mean, this is change management, right? And at its essence.
Yeah.
And yeah, sounds like you've done a really great job of it.
And, and I'm sure you felt it too, the changing of the workforce, right? That's getting younger, and employees now want different things than they wanted 25 years ago. Or maybe not want different things, but can express the needs now that they have in a way that they weren't listened to before. And I think we're getting a lot of younger guys who expect a different level of job, right? They want to be involved, and they want to see their path forward. They want to be trained. They want, to be learning the most up-to-date things. And if we're behind in our ERP, we're probably also behind in other areas, right? And so I'm trying to bring us up to date and ahead, right, of the curve as much as I can. And the guys are stoked. They're really into it. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Did you get that trait from your dad? Is he as open to, those kind of things, or are you taking a different course than he might have done?
My dad's the best. He's a guy's guy. Everybody likes him. He's very social, very personable, and has always had a good interaction in the shop. But he is an old school guy. They ran shops differently then, and they didn't have the access to the same things we do. So I think that if he was coming up now, he would be the same as I am.
Sure.
It's just the available technology wasn't there. This didn't exist when he was building this shop, right? And so he built it the best way he could, but he for sure has an eye for the future. I think he's excited about all of this.
Very cool.
Computers are a little bit trickier for him than most, but
that's quite all right.
Right?
They're tricky for my dad too.
Yeah,
so.
exactly, right. Exactly. So, but the fact is, he can use the system, right? He can get in and he can see the information he needs to. Our old system was so hard, getting any kind of output was a struggle. And so this is just, it's changed everything. Yeah.
So great segue, talking about your old system. Was it sort of that FileMaker Pro thing that you built?
Right. So there was FileMaker. We had 6 different FileMaker databases for different things. And then we had Sage 100 to do the finance and planning. And we were doing paperless for quoting. And we had training doing totally separately. It was not localized.
QMS?
Yeah.
Was that part of the
loose? It was just like a loose collection of things, right? And so now we've onboarded with HiQA too. So we're linking the HiQA and ProShop together. Marissa is our quality manager now, and she is, she's web smart, so it's not a huge stretch, but she's loving this new system. Her visibility alone is so much better. Our management meetings go so much smoother. Everything is just so much easier. So yeah, I think probably 8 or 9 different processes that we've shrunk down into just ProShop,
that's incredible.
So relieving. I gotta tell you. And so with this, we have also transformed our whole finances, the way we do our finances here. We've done a lot of changing. And a lot of learning. We're still learning. We're still pretty new in this.
Yeah, you just went live 4 months ago or something.
Yeah, the beginning of February. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's some rapid learning and improvement.
Yeah, it's sink or swim, right? You gotta move quick.
That warms my heart. If we can make a quality manager's job and day a little bit easier, I'm all about that, because they have a hard job.
Yeah, God, I would not. I don't envy her. I tell you that. She gets all the negative feedback, right? If you have a problem with something, she's got to be about it. So
yeah,
I don't envy her.
Sticking on that for a second, has she found more free time to do more strategic quality things rather than filling out paperwork and updating forms?
FAIs used to take her all day just to get the thing written up and to format it and all these things in a way that we're tracking data now. Then all that information is right there in one place. And it doesn't have to be her anymore, right? She doesn't have to do the FAI. She can have the inspectors do it. They can fill it out themselves, right? And so it's spread out the work in a way that has allowed her to have more of a top view. She's not struggling so much to get the input, to get the guys on board, to do all these things. Because it's right there in front of them at their machine, right? We're asking you to check these 3 dimensions. Just check them. right?
Right.
And so she
Yeah.
can sit at her desk and say, okay, they're doing it, they're doing it, they're doing it. I need to go out and talk to, John and see why not. Right.
Right.
And
Sure.
it's so much smoother, and there's less conflict, right? Because the guys know what's expected of them. And if they're not living up to that, we can say, look, we asked you here. We asked you to do this thing. Why is it not happening? Cool, let's move forward. Let's change it. Let's get it done. Instead of, well, what happened? Who did that? Why did they do that? Where did it go? Who put it there? Right. And like,
Hmm.
we don't have to do the investigating anymore because it's all right there.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that statement, I'd love to go a little deeper on that statement. There's less conflict
Yeah.
because we've had customers that have, once they are in the system a little longer, like they've shared with us that like the entire culture of their shop has changed, right? There's less there's less frustration, there's less arguing, there's
Yeah.
less conflict, there's just more kind of enjoyment of of the job, the fun parts of it without
Right.
as much of the hassle parts.
Right.
Do you feel like you're on that trajectory?
Absolutely. And I feel like we're executing already on some of that. The guys, a lot of conflict comes from a misunderstanding of expectations, right? Like, I thought you wanted me to do it this way, so I did it this way, but you told me this way, and now you're upset and I'm upset, right? Neither one of us was successful. But with work instructions clearly right in front of you, and access to the most up-to-date print, and access to how many parts were run on the last one. We scrapped one. Why did we scrap it? Okay, going into this, I know what to think about. I don't have to go out there and talk to the guy and ask, well, did you load it backwards or did you not? Like, it's all right there. We can look at this information. It's all in the system. And so a lot of the stuff that was, well, I don't remember what happened, or I don't, nobody told me that, or whatever. All of those have just been eliminated. And it's less stress for the guys at the machine because they know what is expected. They know how to deliver on that. And our plant manager doesn't have to be in a bad mood all the time, right? Like, ultimately, right? He doesn't have to storm through the shop finding answers all the time because the answers are provided. And so it's a lot more cohesive out there. The guys feel like they're a part of it. We're having a lot more like informative staff meetings too, trying to keep them all in the loop on
Mm,
our KPIs and things we're trying to change and why we're changing them. And so nobody's surprised. There's no more surprises. There's no more, I didn't know that was coming up. You did, right? We all did.
right.
So
Sure.
it's just been such a relief.
I love it. You're making my day here, Adam.
That's good. That's good.
This
I mean,
musical
I guess
chairs.
that's why you built it, right? You are having the same problems.
Yeah, we totally were.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All the time. I mean, we weren't using FileMaker. We were just using these crazy big Excel spreadsheets, but
Mhm.
yeah, they were a bear,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know. Yeah. If you didn't have the piece of paper in front of you or you had the Excel document open and no one else could open it, then you didn't know what was going on.
Exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the things that used to drive me crazy is I couldn't look at a part and say, did that part make us money? Right? Was that part profitable? I had to look at my month end and say, okay, we did good this month, right? We were profitable this month, or we weren't profitable this month. And if I wanted an individual, I have to go backwards and do all this weird financial detective work that I don't like doing, right? And so to be able to say this job here's a winner for us, and this one's a loser, and we need to drop it. I mean, it has helped us keep our margins higher with making the guys do less busy work. We had some jobs here that essentially was break even busy work, right? And like, I don't want them doing busy work. I want them making us money.
Yeah.
Well, because if we make money, they all make money, right? We do profit sharing, and so everybody gets a piece of our success. And that's, I mean, I think that's probably another reason why everybody is so motivated and feels like a family.
I mean, it's a great, great strategy that you have that. Not every shop does profit sharing,
Right.
so applaud you for that.
Well,
That's
yeah, that's my dad right there. So
yeah,
if they're working hard, they deserve the fruits, right? Like, it's not just a top down business. It's got to be all of us on board. So
yeah, yeah. No, that's excellent. As you were doing the onboarding, getting trained, or once you started using it, really, do you remember like a feature where you're like, oh my gosh, like this is just going to save so much time?
yeah, I mean, date changing, it used to be such a pain. Like, a pain point for us because we have
Customer changes a
customers,
due
right?
date.
They'll do blanket orders, and we have delivery dates. They don't need these parts now. They have to move a date out. Okay, we'll move it out. And then in 2 weeks, oh, actually, we do need those parts. Can you move them back in? And I have to go hunt those parts down, which are in a different part of the shop now, or out at a Platers or somewhere else, and I have to physically change these dates. And or if that gets missed, right? Somebody forgets to go change a date, and now our parts aren't ready, and they're a hot part or whatever, right? So like these scheduling issues are just were immediately solved. That was the first one where I went, oh, that's so nice, where it was really just this breath of fresh air. Like, wait, you just changed the date like that, and we're done. All right,
One spot.
actually one place, and this all happened. And then we have, because the way we were set up, we have shipping is on one end of the building, and we're on the other end of the building, and if I need to know where this is at, I have to go walk all over there and. Not anymore, right? Like I can just look in the system. I don't even have to call over there. Can you check stock for me and find out if my stock is in the system? I can look for myself. Do we have the tools for this? Check your costs. It's right there. You have your tools in there, right? And so we are saving buckets of time on that kind of busy work. That kind of and it gets lost, right? Nobody's getting paid for that time, right? We don't make money for having the plant manager hunt down travelers or to go dig through our inventory and make sure we have these parts in stock. That's all time that we were just losing. And so we can track it. We cut out so much of that waste.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it's very nice for my bottom line,
I'm just curious, in the transition period from going to paper travelers to not, like, did you do a clean break like on a Monday morning or?
Yep.
Yeah. Can you describe how you did
In
that?
February, we told everybody leading up to it, we're not going into February with our old system, right? We ran parallel for a couple of months, and we did this and we did that, and we tried to, make things in parallel and see if we were right. And then I just realized we could do this forever, right? We can go parallel until our faces turn blue. We just got to do it, right? We got to commit. And so I told everybody we have until the end of January, and we're done. And they were ready. February 1st hit, all the travelers came off, and all of it went live. And we have had no problems. Really, like it really went so smoothly. I was shocked. We were terrified. I was talking to the plant manager the other day, and like leading up to it, we were all so anxious, right? We don't know how this is going to go. We're going to really be lost in it for a while before we can figure out the kinks and all of this. And then all of a sudden, it was just going, right? We'd worked out the kinks and we were just running. And it hasn't really been an issue. It was such a shock that it went so smoothly.
So your existing jobs, you had already sort of duplicated in ProShop,
right?
And had a digital equivalent of that paper traveler.
Exactly. So that overlap, the jobs that were started before and finished after, we just had them going in parallel anyways. And so we dropped off the other half, and there we were.
Got it.
Good.
I imagine you had like paper setup sheets and things. Did you scan those things in, or how did you get that information into the digital?
That was sort of more of a process. We redid a lot of it. Some of the setup sheets, we've run these legacy parts for decades now, some of the things we make. And so the setup sheets were, barely held together anymore. And they had, years and years of different notes on them and all these things. And so we had a couple of guys go through and read all the notes that were on them, if they're notes that are important, to transcribe them, and built out these systems. And we had, like I said, because we were slow, I was able to pull some of the guys off the floor and say, I need you to be helping with this now. And so they would sit at a computer and they transposed all of this stuff and built our system. And so when the transition time came, I felt really prepared. We all did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How many part numbers do you typically like touch in a year, process in a year?
Right now, I think we're running, 300 different parts.
300 active work orders right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of different part numbers, right? We do multiple lines of these parts, and it's like 340 or something like that.
Okay.
At any given time. This year we'll do, 1,200 different parts probably.
Okay. Yep, that's a good number. It seemed like a good process of building up, those part records, those routings, the work instructions, that sort of thing.
And some of the ones, we don't make about once a year.
Right.
we haven't taken the time yet. When it comes up, if
You'll do
if
it.
it comes up again, but otherwise, the heavy ones, the ones in heavy rotation are good to go and they're running happily.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, before we record, I was asking about your filing cabinets behind you. So, obviously, going from years of paper travelers
Yeah.
to none. Yeah, what's the plan for the filing cabinets?
Well, most of that's old purchase orders, right? It's like years and years and years and years of purchase orders. And so it's just going to have to time out, really. All the new stuff is going in the system. We like to keep it around for, 7, 8 years, but
Yep.
this will all slowly just stop being relevant. And I know my dad is comforted by the paper.
Sure.
So this is decades of decades of work here. So
Yeah.
I'm in no hurry. It's a good reminder. I like seeing it here, to tell you the truth. It's a good
Uh-huh.
reminder of where we came. It's a good reminder of why we did what we did, right? So I don't have to do that anymore. I don't
Sure.
have to ask the girls, can you dig through the files and find me this thing from 8 years ago? Right? Like it's been it's very exciting for them too, I think, for the girls.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Have you had any customers in to visit and shown them your new system or any audits or anything like that?
Yeah, so we have our biggest customers. Actually, we're doing an audit in August, but they've been
Okay.
kind of very eagerly following our processing here. They're very excited.
I bet they are.
When they came for their last audit, right? They do one every 2 years. When they came for the last audit was when I was just about at the end of my rope with the old system and was pushing pretty hard for the ERP, and having them come in and say, these systems, while effective, are way overburdening you guys, right? Like from our point of view, it looks like you're doing more work than you need to be doing. And to
Mhm.
hear that from someone on the outside say what we've all been
Yeah.
feeling already was a huge wake up call. And I think that was the final push that was needed for everybody to get on board, at least the
Right.
management team, to hear like, oh, it's not just Adam being obsessive about this. It's not just his idea. It's everybody, right? It's the outside world sees it too. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. So you were getting good results. You were just
right.
putting a whole lot of effort into it.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So when they
Yeah.
asked for, hey, we need the data from this thing, I couldn't say, okay, give me a minute, I'll get it for you. I would have to say, all right, give me a week, I'll put this stuff together for you and I'll get it sent out. Right. Like, and so for them, the output is a huge boost.
So have they seen the result? I mean the improvements, like status updates or whatever. It's just like on the phone, like, oh yeah, let's see, Tuesday.
Yep. Yeah. And no longer do I have to say, oh, let me go check stock or I'll get back to you tomorrow. Let me go find out if we have any inventory.
Hmm.
I know right here. It's on my disk. I can tell you right now while I'm on the phone with you. So it's, I know that they're loving it.
That's
Um,
cool.
and with with the heavy hitters, they're always looking to pay less money, right? They want parts to cost less.
Of course.
And with efficiency gains that we're finding these ways to save our customers money with still the same output, right? The same
Mm.
quality, the same amount of work, and it's. I feel like we're working less to get the same output we were before, which is every owner's dream, right? Like that's what you want. You want to do less work for more money. So
So have you been able to split, like, pass some of that savings along to them in the form of better prices, but still maintain or even increase your margin?
yeah, so as you know, the materials markets are a little bit volatile right now, and
They
so
are.
we've been able to eat a lot of these changes. Where before we would have had to raise pricing, material doubled in cost. We can't just eat that, right? But now with these efficiencies, we've been able to level things out, and so we're not feeling the kind of roller coaster that we would have been certainly without it.
Right.
Um, the plating right now is crazy,
Yeah.
but it's it's definitely leveled us out, which is the best.
Hmm.
I know
Yeah.
that makes them happy for their planning for if we can hold a price all year,
Sure.
that makes their planning way easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so
When they might have been expecting an increase because of material, and you're like, no, we're good.
right, exactly, and we said we get a letter from a plater saying we're going to have to raise our prices 25%. we pass that along to our customers, right? To let them know
Sure.
that this might be coming. This is something we're absorbing. And so for them to get the notice and then to not feel it in the price changes makes them feel very happy. Yeah. So it's like
Good long-term strategy.
having to reduce price, we're finding savings, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. On your QMS specifically, can you describe sort of transitioning, or maybe you're still in the process of it, all your QMS documents into ProShop?
Yeah, we are very much still in the transition. We have all of our processes and stuff loaded and all these things. But with the high QA, we're also implementing high QA at the same time. Now, kind of
ballooning and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so a lot of that stuff is, like inspection plans and all those things are still getting kind of built out. But I know Marissa's been loving the tools that she has now at her fingertips, right? Instead of having to build them, she gets to use them. So
yeah. And then when would your next recertification audit be?
We just recertified for audit of January, so we have a whole year.
Okay, whole year. Yeah, he'll be. That's good. That's great timing, actually.
Yeah, no kidding.
It'll be a cakewalk.
Exactly. Yeah, she really white knuckled it. She got us certified and recertified by
Sure.
sheer willpower.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Absolutely.
I'm sure. Yeah. You mentioned maybe less conflict in the shop. Let's talk about just sort of you personally. What's the impact been for you? Are you sleeping better at night? I mean,
so much better. Yeah, my stress level has gone down so much. Just being able to sit at my desk and get a full picture of what's going on. I don't have to worry about those little details anymore. I don't find myself waking up in the middle of the night going, did they take care of that? Is that because I could just log in and look now. I can go in from home and make sure. I also got to go on a vacation where I was not too worried about it. I got checked in every day for sure, but I didn't lose sleep over it. I wasn't worried the whole place was going to fall apart.
And that was not previously the case.
Was absolutely not. Yeah, no. It was just, there was so much will involved in getting everything to run every day that there wasn't much of you couldn't really back off the gas ever. You had to be pushing all the time just to get the work out the door on time. And that's been a point of pride for us for a long time. We run 99% OTD before the system. We're maintaining it now. But to do that before was absolutely the most stressful thing, right? Coordinating and timing and all of these things through sheer will. It was just muscle at that point. And now it's finesse. Now these things happen almost without input, right? Like these organizational things that are so necessary just happen now. They're happening on the regular basis, and I get to watch them and I get to see the fruit every day. It's nice.
That's awesome. What ages are your kids?
I have one who's about to turn 3, and the other one is going to be born in July.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah. That's coming up quick.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Yes, it is.
I have a new nephew that'll be born in August.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I'm excited for that. That probably allows you to just be more present at home, and focus on your kids and your wife and your family.
And I've always been, I show stress on my face, right? When I'm stressed, you can see it. my furrowed brow, and I worry and I pick my fingernails. And my wife has just said, your general vibe at home has lightened so much, right? It's brighter. And I used to come home gritted teeth, it's fine, I'm good, work's fine. No, it's real. It is fine. Things are fine and things are good, and I don't have to worry all the time that things will fall apart if I'm not right on top of them. And that's such a relief from my desk to not have to stress that every day is such a relief. And then, finances are an owner's bread and butter. That's what I worry about first thing in the morning. It's what I worry about at the end of the day. I worry about the money, and to be able to have a view that is so concise and accessible has helped me just to let go of some of those the minute things that I used to obsess about. I don't have to think about, and it's so helpful. It's so helpful. And so now our long-term planning is better. Our strategic planning is better. I mean, I don't think we had strategic planning at all really before. It was sink or swim. We make it or we don't always, And
Sure.
so now being able to look to the future and say, what are we doing now that we want to continue doing? What are we doing now that we don't want to continue doing? I mean, having that freedom to say no to a job is
Hmm.
remarkable, right? Is to be able to say, that's not for us.
Sure.
And I can tell you why it's not for us, you know? And so that strength is so useful for us.
So we had this process that I've talked about in many places called at our shop called kill the losers,
Hmm.
right? Where we would regularly, look at the jobs that we just finished and shipped, and we'd look at the profitability and we'd sort by the least profitable just on ProShop and like reverse sort it and start just looking at like what happened here. Did I underquote it? Was the material wrong? Did we make a mistake? What's the
Right,
process?
right, yeah, yep,
And, sometimes it revealed pretty big problems that were either easy to fix or not at all easy to fix. And
right,
at least knowing which one is the case and making a decision
for sure.
about, raising the price or getting rid of or talking to the customer. It's like, hey, this feature is absolutely kicking our butts. If we could tweak that, do some DFM with them. And they're like, yeah, that's no problem,
Right,
But that process just really moved the needle on the overall company profitability,
yeah. I
right?
don't,
Prior to when we were not doing that.
right.
You were only 3 months in, but you feel like you're already seeing those bottom line changes.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is that the parts that aren't efficient for us are showing themselves. Like we don't have the historical data yet to say it was a one-off or this is a loser for us. But I'm starting to see these trends already. Like this job, we struggled with it last time. We barely got out on time. We overran on our machine time. Why? We've streamlined our quoting process because of that. Um, I just being able to see it already has been such a surprise. Like I thought it would take us a lot longer to get to the point where this data was usable. I thought we were going to have to spend a lot more time filling in the system before we would be able to see that, and to have it instantly visible was such a relief. Right? Like my line is green, this one is red. Why am I red here? Right? It's just that fast. I can say this job was good here. Why do we have so much drop off on that step? Right? It pinpoints my problem, and I can go address the problem surgically instead of
Hmm.
a whole, bodily redoing of the program. We can say why and where and how, and we can go do it. We can take care of it.
So
And
you're talking about job progress, which not everybody knows what that is. Can you just describe it maybe a little bit for
yeah,
the listeners?
yeah. So job progress, when we quote or when we're estimating jobs, we have an idea of how long a job's going to take us on each step, right? It'll take us, you know, the step one is 40 minutes on the machine, step two is 12, and, it hand finishes for 10 minutes, and then we're out the door, right? And when we start falling behind, more time has elapsed on this job than we have allotted for. I can see that. There's colored bars that show me if I'm green, I'm healthy, and we're doing good, I'm keeping up. My red line starts hanging over the end there. I start to know that, oh no, we have an issue here, right? And
Sure.
it lets me go straight to the source, straight to my problem, and address it. And sometimes that's as easy as saying, "Hey, why is this so bad?" And the guy says, "Oh, you know what? I forgot to log out. I can go back and fix that. We fix it, no problem." Or sometimes it's, "Yeah, you said that it was a 12-minute runtime. It's actually a 40-minute runtime. I don't know how to get this lower," right? And so then we can address the problem.
Mm.
That's an exaggeration, certainly, but it is that way, right?
I think I underquoted things that bad sometimes.
Yeah, I think we all have.
so,
um,
um, but maybe, and I'd love to hear your point on this. It's because you can see job progress as it's going, not just when it's done.
right.
If it's a long enough job, you can go affect the outcome before it actually gets super terrible, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I know as soon as it's a problem, I know about it. Right. If I have my eyes open, I can see it right away. And so these issues can get solved. And even on our low run quantities, right? We have a job with 100 parts. I know by 4 or 5 parts in if we're behind schedule.
Right.
So before we're even that far through the job, we can start affecting change. And that has made us so much more nimble and so much more flexible. And our quoting has gotten way more accurate. We were able to adjust some things and finding efficiencies in programming or finding efficiencies in motion even, or if we ran 3 of these at a time, would it help? you know? And
Sure.
so
Sure.
it's just giving us a more pinpointed place to find solutions, which is, again, saving me time. That's the key.
Have you delegated any of that to like your shop manager you were talking about? Like, is he looking at job progress and also
Yeah.
looking for problems?
Most of it is them, right? I look at it because I am obsessed with my shop, right? I want to know what's going on. But it's not really on me to do that work. It's Steve, our plant manager. He's got an eye on it. He's the one who, we're falling behind on this lathe job. He'll call the lathe manager in, lathe comes in, and they talk about it. Why is it going on? Go fix it. Right. So,
Right.
and then our managers are so happy about this because they have the visibility too. They don't have to get yelled at about, well, why didn't this guy get blah, blah, blah? Because they knew that it was happening. They took care of it before it was a plant manager problem. Right. And so we're not seeing the red bar because
Yeah.
they didn't want it. They saw it first and they got
The employees can see it just as well as anybody.
Exactly. And, the guy on the machine who's running it, 50% rapid all day and didn't realize it, like, that bar, it keeps growing. Why am I behind? Oh, I see. Right. I hit the button. My bad. And we can fix it before it's an issue. And letting the guys take ownership of the fix too has been so awesome.
Mhm.
Everybody feels more valued, I think. And
Right.
seeing the guys get trained in a new skill and like the satisfaction that comes from that, right? They know how to do a new thing now, and everybody's happier, right? Like everybody gets bored in their job. I think everybody, you do the same thing day in and day out, you get bored, and when you're bored, mistakes start happening, and you stop paying attention as much. And we try really hard to keep guys moving around. We don't like any guy to run the same job over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
So all of our guys do their own setups. We have a tool room that does the tooling, but other than that, all the guys do their own setups, and they move between machines. We have the guys on the verticals of the 5-axis. We'll move to the horizontals, next month, or they'll be on the lathes or whatever.
That's awesome.
Right, and so I think
great cross training.
Exactly right, and so everybody kind of knows what's going on everywhere, and they know that the reason I need to keep this tolerance here is because when it gets flipped over and goes on the 5-axis, all of that comes off of here. And so because they've run that, they know the importance of what they're doing here, and just the interconnectivity and being able to point to it on the monitor and say, look, this is going over here to Jose after this, right? Like if you don't get this right here, he's going to be behind on it. If you're not deburring your part when it comes off, he gets it and has to deburr it. Look at his line's going to be bad. And so we need to be taking care of each other, right? We need to be looking out for each other. And it's so nice to be able to just point at it and say, look, this is why, right? Like if you're confused as to why I'm on you about keeping the machine running, this is why right here,
Gosh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Did you do all that it sounds like you've done that cross training strategy of moving people on machines. You've done that for a long time, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Is that something your dad also put in place?
Yeah, he's really big on that. He likes the guys to have the full training, right? You want everybody trained on everything because you never know, right? We never know.
Yeah.
We have too many lathe jobs right now, not enough guys. Like only my guys can go on there. They can all run it.
It seems like that's a forever issue in so many shops. Like, I'm a lathe guy. I don't know how to run that mill. Or the mill guys are super afraid of the lathe because things are spinning around.
Yeah, we see that a lot with new hires. They'll come in and say, "Oh yeah, I ran a lathe at my old job, and I ran the same job for the 10 years that I worked there, and I never did setups. If any setup had to happen, then I called a guy and he came and did it." And here we expect them to do that setup. We expect them to make the changes if they're needed, to go talk to the inspector, find out what's wrong, change it. Right? Like we don't have somebody to come out and fix the problem for you. And so I find that a lot of times when guys leave here, they're going, other shops love hiring guys from here, because the guys have a really robust knowledge of machining.
Right.
To be able to say, I can do setups, I can run a lathe, I can run your horizontals, I can run your 5-axis, I can run your verticals, right? Like it's a huge benefit for all of them. And I'm like, I want my guys to stay forever. I love them all and I want them all to stay. But also if they have to move on, I want them prepared too. So right. We want these guys to be good machinists at the end of the day and happy. So
Yeah, that's a really good perspective because I definitely, there's this sentiment that you often hear. It's like, no, I don't want to invest in my people because then someone will poach them.
right.
Sounds like you're saying you're probably, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you invest in the training, you make their jobs more fun. Hope, you're investing in your culture as well,
Right.
making it a great place. And then you hopefully that's enough. And most of the time it is. You keep them for a long time, but sometimes people need to go.
Exactly. And honestly, if you don't want to be here, if you don't want to be working here, then go. Right. Like I don't want to force somebody to stay here. I don't want somebody to be here because they have no other option. Right. I want this place to be a place that they want to be working at. Everybody has to have a job. Well, not everybody, but most people have to have a job. So I want the job to be something that's fulfilling. Right. Like I want to be fulfilled in my life. And so I want my guys to be fulfilled in theirs. And a
Mm,
healthy mind, a healthy body. I
yeah.
mean, we make good parts. Like it all is connected. I feel like when things are bad, when we feel, sometimes there's conflict in the shop or somebody gets in an argument or whatever, you can feel that run through the whole shop. Whether you're involved in it or not,
Yeah.
you can feel it.
Sure.
We spend more time here than we do with our families, right? So we have to take care of each other. We have to. So
Wow.
when we are a family. Essentially, right?
Yeah. I love all of this, Adam. I just love the way you're thinking so clearly about this. And I'm sure people listening are getting that as well.
Right.
Um, I want to kind of change directions just for a couple of minutes. I often talk about, this somewhat silly, but not actually, it's very meaningful to me. Hashtag, thank a machinist and the importance of machine shops to our economy. And it's like the bedrock of every other thing in the whole world.
Yep.
Um, Tell me a little bit about sort of like the why behind, owning, running your shop, continuing on with, the next generations.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, just the importance of that to you and the challenges of running this business, which I also say is the hardest business in the world.
Yeah. It
Just
feels like
speak about that for a few minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I think growing up in a house that was machinist, right? My grandfather was a machinist. So my dad grew up in a house of machinists and I grew up in it. I heard over and over and over that everything starts at a machine shop, right? Like everything that you use started at a machine shop. Anything, the food that you eat was tilled from the earth with a tractor that was made in a machine shop, right? So everything starts in the machine shop. And I was taught my whole entire life that the importance of this industry. That's important. Everything comes from here. And so we need to take pride in what we do. We need to do it well and we need to do it ethically, right? And we need to do it because if we're making bad parts, everything after it is bad, right? That's what I was just talking about with the setups, right? If my guy runs step one incorrectly, step two can never come out right.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that way about machining is that if we can't do it right, everything after it will fall, right? So I've always felt this intense pride, like coming from a family that is in that such a physical, life.
Mm-hmm.
I now it's more white collar. I guess I sit at a desk, but like this blue collar life, I feel like is often kind of looked down on. But I always saw it in such like high regard. I never felt that way, like my dad, as most of us have. My dad's my hero, right? And so like I saw him as a machinist, and that was the coolest thing in the world to me. Like I really valued it so much. And so I just feel this intense pride now. And my wife will bring my son down, to have lunch or something. And he gets to walk through the shop and say hi to all the guys. And, he's getting this experience that I got. And I can't tell you how much it just fills my heart, like to see my family now getting this life that was so good to me. And like I get to provide this and I get to create this place for all of my employees, the families now, because we do what we do, all of them get to to live their lives. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't even, that's just my biggest point of pride, right? That we can do that we can do this job that seems like fun, right? Like I really love machining. I know it's probably more work for other people, but I really love it. And so it feels like a fun job that I get to do and take care of my family with it. And that's just
Mm-hmm.
the best. I can't.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can feel that rating out. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's just switch for a moment and talk about yes, you're full of pride as you should be, and yes, it's rewarding, but it's also a really hard business, right?
Really. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is really hard and fickle and, you know, not very gentle at times. And, it's complicated and technology is changing constantly. And if you stop learning, then you're falling behind right away. Like some industries, I feel like you can learn your set of knowledge and then go through your career with that set of knowledge. Our industry, what I learned 10 years ago, can almost throw that out the window and learn this whole new set of things. We machine in different ways, we program in different ways. The machines have different capabilities. The parts that we're making go into different things. I mean, we're making robot parts now. We're making rocket ship parts, parts that are going to go to the moon. Like we're making, the technology is changing, but um, if we stop keeping up with it, it will leave without us. And so there's something so rewarding about that, but so challenging, right? Like you cannot rest on it. You get to, but like I say, I get to continue learning. Like I get to learn the new technology. I get to learn what new program is out there to help us program more efficiently. What is out there to help us, you know, in all of these things. And ProShop was one of those things, right? Like technology is changing. We got to keep up. You got to stay with it. And so this was a very helpful guide into that, right? Like to maintain that course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So, how many folks work at your company?
I'm about 40 right now.
About 40. Okay. So, you got 40 families relying on the breadwinner, very likely, or possibly, in that family. What does that mean to you to be responsible for that many mouths?
I mean, it's a lot. It's a heavy weight. But watching again, that goes back to my dad all over and over. But watching my dad navigate that for my whole life and seeing how he interacts with the guys on the floor and just all the family, Christmas parties or the, get-togethers or the baseball games or whatever, I've learned that like this is just extended family, right? Like I said, we spend more time working than we do at home, and so just the fact that I get to help these guys take care of their own families, right? Like, and I'm not helping them, I guess, but like, I get to provide this place that they can come to work to provide for their families is there can't be a more rewarding feeling, and then to be able to train them and to give them more opportunity and to learn more and the chance to make more money and to do better at their job. I mean, it doesn't get better, right? Like I get to be a teacher and I get to run a machine shop. I get to, be an accountant and I get to run a machine shop. I get to be a machinist and run a machine shop. It's the best.
Yeah, and those manufacturing jobs, as we all, hear the stats, those have some of the most like multiplicative effect of, creating, revenue and money into the community because it's a good solid job that then people go out and buy cars and houses and food and go to doctors and so yeah, you're really helping support an entire community. Obviously, San Diego is a very big community, but that's a big impact.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just it's such a point of pride, when you think of blue collar jobs, you think of you tell somebody who's not in machining, oh, I work at a machine shop. They think dirty, they think loud, they think I don't know what. Like, it's not advanced, right? It's not technology, it's not community. But when you walk in through our doors, that's what you feel here. Like you look around my shop, there's a computer screen everywhere you look, right? There's a monitor in every direction. There's technology happening right under our noses, and get to be a part of that is so rewarding.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I know, I can feel it. Everyone listening, I know, can feel it. And hopefully they're bursting with pride for you and hopefully reflecting on the importance of what they do, because many of the listeners are machine shop people. So
right, yeah. But stay in the industry if you don't like it, right? And so I think we're a bit of a brotherhood. The people that love machining. And if I, go out to a bar and I'm talking to a guy, he says, I'm a machinist, I immediately have a bond. I feel like an immediate bond. Yeah. We're all cut of the same cloth in some way. And I'm just so happy to end up here.
Right. I know exactly that feeling.
Yeah.
I was on a bus going to this event over the weekend, and the guy across the way started talking about Haas machines. And I was like, dude, let's talk about machines.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for reaching out to me, for sharing, the changes that you're making there at your business. It's such a huge honor to support, a business like yours that is so foundational to the success of our entire economy, to help make the parts better so it can go on, good parts helping every other part of the world, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So thank you for the opportunity to serve you well. If people want to learn more about GB Industries, how would you suggest they reach out to you?
Yeah, they could go our website at gbindustries.biz, or LinkedIn, always a good way.
Okay. I'll make sure those links are in.
Yeah, find us out there.
Well, Adam, thank you again so much. This has been a truly delightful hour, and just couldn't be more excited for you continuing this business, having your kid start cleaning machines someday and making some chips.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll touch base in a year or so and we'll talk about how it's changed.
I would love that.
All right.
I would love that. All right. Thanks, my friend.
Thank you, buddy.
Cheers.